Good evening and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas. Now, the RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat has reignited the population debate. Bhagwat has raised concerns about the declining population growth in the country and said that society will perish if the fertility rate falls below 2.1. Bhagwat said that since human beings can't be born in fractions, we need to have at least 3 children per family to stay above the growth rate of 2.1. The RSS chief batting for a 3-child norm has sparked a massive political debate. Opposition is asking if BJP and RSS are not on the same page, saying while BJP leaders have in the past called for law on population control, the RSS chief is expressing concern over declining population growth rate. Asudin Owaisi of the MIM also took a jibe, saying that the new Maharashtra government should give a Ladli Aulad scheme now.
संख्येचा उल्लेख झाला, जनसंख्या कमी होते भरतीचा चिंतेचा विषय आहे. त्याचं कारण हे शास्त्र, लोकसंख्या शास्त्र जे आधुनिक असं सांगतं की 2.1च्या खाली जायला लागलो तर तो समाजच नष्ट होतो. पृथ्वीच्या पाठीवर तो राहत नाही. कोणी त्याला मारेल असं नाही. तो काही नसलं संकट तरी तो समाज नष्ट होतो, पुढे चालत नाही.
महाराष्ट्र में सरकार बन रही है, आप बोलिए लाडली औलाद के नाम पे जो ज्यादा बच्चे पैदा करेगा 3,000 रुपए देंगे अकाउंट में डालिए. प्रधानमंत्री क्यों कहे पार्लियामेंट इलेक्शन में कि मुस्लिम महिला ज्यादा बच्चे पैदा करते हैं? तो ये हिपोक्रेसी है बीजेपी आरएसएस की.
मोहन भागवत जी को देश के पॉपुलेशन के बारे में बहुत चिंता हो रही है. आज हमारी देश की पॉपुलेशन लगभग 150 करोड़ हो गई. और कितनी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ाना चाहते हैं सर संघ चालक? ये जो सलाह है आपके बीजेपी के लोगों को दीजिए. एक जगह पर आपकी सरकार कुटुंब कल्याण, कुटुंब नियोजन की योजना चलाती है. ये दोगली नीति है.
BJP, however, backed RSS chief's statement, saying that if he has said something, it should be analyzed positively.
बढ़ती हुई जनसंख्या भी वो लाइबिलिटी हो जाती है, एसेट्स हो जाए तो जनसंख्या कोई वो नहीं है. मैं जो हमारे संघ परिवार के मुखिया की तरफ से कहा गया है वो भारत की स्थिति को देख के कहा गया है, मैं उसका स्वागत करता हूँ.
कैलकुलेशन तो डेफिनेटली इसके पीछे है ही है ना, कोई ना कोई, क्योंकि वो कोई भी गैर जिम्मेदार या इस तरह का बयान तो जीवन में उन्होंने कभी किया नहीं ना. वो इस देश के लिए बहुत ही मैंने जैसा कहा कि देश के लिए सोचते हैं, देश के लिए समझते हैं, उनके लिए देश ही सब कुछ है.
राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ एक राष्ट्रभक्त संस्था है. अगर आदरणीय मोहन भागवत जी ने कोई बात कही है तो निश्चित रूप से वो राष्ट्र हित में होगी. उसकी समीक्षा सकारात्मक रूप से किया जाए. हमें पूरा विश्वास है कि उन्होंने जो भी विचार अभी लाए होंगे उसमें देश के प्रति चिंता होगी.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest now. Joining us is Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate of the Supreme Court. Ratan Sharda, author, is with us. We also have with us Faizan Kidwai, who's national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Let me start with you first, Ratan Sharda. Why would the RSS chief make a comment like this? Because doesn't this fly in the face of what we have discussed? You know, building consensus on issues such as this in our country, as it is so difficult. For decades, we've been told, hum do, hamare do. We've also seen how perhaps the need to have one child was being discussed unofficially, no official campaigns about that. In the midst of this particular statement coming in has surprised many. And of course, I'm not even referring to the massive political storm that it's caused. What possibly could be the logic, Mr. Shard?
Madhav, we have talked about population management for a long time. Unfortunately, you pointed out Hum Do Hamare Do, that Hum Do Hamare Do was only followed by Hindus. Not just Hum Do Hamare Do, it became Hum Do Hamara Ek. And when you see at the fertility rate, Muslim fertility rate dropped from 4.4 to 2.36, while the Hindu fertility rate dropped from 3.3 to 1.94, which is below the survival rate, which means the society, if it is a healthy mix of young and old and children, then we must maintain 2.1 plus, or the society the population declines. So on one side Hindu population declines, other side the population increases. So where is the character of this Samaj? You have seen what happened when Pakistan was, when in 1947 Muslim population was 24%, we got a partition of India. And you look at the trend in 2050 by Pew Research, not by RSS Research, Hindus will grow to 130 crore, which is at the rate of 33%. Muslims will grow at 31 crore with a growth rate of 76%. This is pure report. Now, second issue, this is one side. Second issue is that we need a balanced growth of population with a balance of every kind of religious group, etc. But the another point is that as the population goes down, the entire economy, the entire country crumbles. South Korea, one of the richest countries, today has a fertility rate of 0.72, and their elderly population from 14.9 in 2011 is going to go up to 46.5% in 2061. Japan is facing a problem of aging population. So your resources go for the aging population, not for development, not for workforce, not for labor. And this is the problem across Europe also. This is the problem in many of the civilizations. The issue is that this DIN couple, that both people, double income, no kid, has become a copy of the West, which is already facing a huge crisis on family.
All right, let me bring in Faizan on that note. Faizan, the big question is this, that there is a difference between the fertility rates of both communities, and it's only because it's gone below the replacement rate of 2.1 that Mr. Bhagwat has expressed this concern, says Mr. Ratan Sharda. He's also made a number of points. I want you to respond to them.
Madhav, first of all, good evening to you two and the fellow panelists. So I would request Mr. Bhagwat, rather than asking people to have more children, he should first go and meet Mr. Modi and explain to him the abysmal state of the Indian economy. It is very difficult in the current scenario for people to meet their ends. Because as we all know, how the GDP growth rate has plummeted to 5.1%. If you see the data, India is leading in child wasting cases. It's 18.7%. This is really very alarming. Anemia in women, 57%. Anemia in children, 61%. And what Modi government did, it reduced in 2023, it reduced the portion budget by 2,500 crores. Modi government speaks about educating people. What is the budget for education under Mr. Narendra Modi? It's 2.5%. When the desired budget for education in accordance to the GDP is at least 6%. At least under UP it was 3.15%. So it was still better than what it is currently under Mr. Narendra Modi. So Mr. Bhagwat should focus on counseling Mr. Modi right now to make things better for the people of India. There should be more resources. What will people do? They hardly have anything to eat. If you see the data of ASER, it says that socioeconomic reasons are the most important, because of which around 50% of students drop out in the rural areas because their parents cannot afford to send them to proper schools. So if we have a population explosion now, then situation will become even more worse. And with Mr. Bhagwat take the responsibility, if things become even bad, what will be the situation? There will be chaos. As it is, there's chaos because there's scarcity of jobs. People are not getting proper food. Who's responsible? But RSS is only dividing constantly people on communal lines. And I don't know where this figure comes from when they say Muslims was, the population of Muslims was a particular amount, figure he quoted, and then later on after independence it is now this much. The first census in India happened in 1951. So how do you know what was the population of either Hindus or Muslims before the independence? This is all propaganda. That's all.
But from independence to now, there has been a difference. It's well recorded in the census.
It might have, but Madhav, what they quote is the population of Muslims. But Madhav, the first census in India happened in 1951. I am saying the first census happened in 1951. Yes. The very propaganda that BJP does, that the population of Muslims before independence was, they quote a particular number.
My dear friend, forget what the BJP is saying. Do you agree with the census data 51 to now? The last census perhaps didn't happen in 2021, but the 2011 census
but when you don't have proper resources, is this wise or advisable for Mr. Bhagwat
that argument of yours, I want to put across to Ishkaran. Ishkaran, he says that it's a fact that for decades we've been told that despite a lot of changes, our economy growing, etc., we've not been able to reap the full benefit of it because we had population explosion happening in the country. Now the population growth is coming under control. Do we really have the resources, the jobs, infrastructure, etc., to handle so many more people? Is a question and a concern being expressed by Faizan. Your response, Ishkaran.
Madhav, first get the fundamental clear. There is no caliph issuing a fatwa which you have to follow. It is not a government order that if you do not do it, you will be punished. It is not a papal edict which has to be implemented. It is an opinion. In the entire concept of Sanatan, no matter how respected or influential a person, an opinion does not, unlike other places, become binding which everybody lock, step and barrel starts implementing. Everybody has the freedom of speech in public life and should give opinion on topics. I will give you one example because we keep talking BJP, RSS. Elon Musk believes that underpopulation is a bigger challenge than overpopulation. He believes and has, I think, 11 or 12 kids. He is not a Sanghi. He is not, I don't even know what is BJP. And there is data to show how Japan's population from 122 million can become 100 million. South Korea from 51 million can go to less than 45 million, which will be devastating for them economically as well as for national security. Now, without even getting into the Hindu-Muslim issue of the debate, which of course is a vital debate because we cannot forget our history of pre-1947 where the entire demand of what area will go to what region was based on population. Demography is destiny and it will be foolish to not learn lessons from history. But even on the overall picture, opinions change over time, policies change over time. We have to see today how many people are becoming old, how many are joining the population, how many will be employed, because Europe,
in this case, Ishkaran, it was just 3 years ago, in 2021, that he said there's a population explosion. The same person, Mr. Bhagwat.
What happened there?
I will just finish. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Madhav. Let me just finish my point. Where we have seen Kosovo and South Sudan, where one part of the population grows, the other does not, leads to civil strife. So we cannot have all that. We need to have an holistic view, and people are entitled to their opinion, which set a debate in a democracy. Why are people in India frightened of opinions? Let's discuss it. If you agree, you follow it. I believe it's a good opinion, and I gave example of Elon Musk. Nothing to do with India. Who believes the same thing? You may not believe the same thing. You may not do it. Let's keep opinions and a civil debate in society. Let's not be scared of opinions.
Okay. Selam Dhanidharan, why object to Mr. Bhagwat when your own party's leader, Mr. Stalin, has advocated why not having 16 children? And, Ishkaran Bhandari says that this is something that perhaps Elon Musk has also spoken about. Is Elon Musk the inspiration, or is there some other inspiration from Mr. Stalin?
Firstly, that's not what our leader said. So what the leader said, it was a metaphor which he said because BJP was bringing about delimitation and using 2011 census report for the 16th Finance Commission. So he said earlier in the days in Tamil there is a saying in which have 16 and be happy. Now we all don't say it, but maybe BJP wants us all to say it, is what he said. He never said have. He never said, he didn't say anything on this matter. His only observation was, please do not please do not penalize for religiously following the Union government instruction from the 1970s. That is all he said. And this was just a funny metaphor that was made and nothing to be read about on that lines. But you know what ironical about people who speak on support of BJP, either the spokesperson, whenever anyone else, right, who oppose their views, when you speak about inferences from abroad or from people of different country origin, they said no, Videshi, don't bring foreigners inside the debate. And when it suits them, they bring. But again, the Elon Musk reference is comparing apples to oranges. Why apples to oranges? Simply because, see, even in Hindu, there was an editorial a month back. In the editorial, they said, see, because TFR is, let's say, 2.2 for India and maybe 1.8 for Tamil Nadu or Kerala, that metric alone does not mean that the population will reduce. What is important simply because is also the average age of the population. The average age of Indian population is 26, which means more than 50% of the population are less than the age of 26. Either they're 1 year, 2 years, right? So which means most of them, and 99% of them are not married and do not have children, as per data. And 65% of the population less than 32. So they only now going to have children, which means that even the TFR of India will remain 2.1 or 2.2. The population will not reduce, will only continue to increase because the life expectancy of India is also much lower. Right, and it's only increasing now because of improved infrastructure over the last 30-40 years. That's one aspect. Okay. For example, life expectancy in India.
Let me get a quick response. This is a very interesting point.
Life expectancy of India is 67. Life expectancy of Japan is 97.
Very important point.
Japan is 55.
Yeah.
Sorry,
let's have a reasonable debate. Ishkaran wants to counter you on that point. Ishkaran.
Yeah, I said let's get the fundamentals clear. The point is you cannot say in Tamil Nadu because our population is less, we should have more kids, and outside Tamil Nadu in India the same should not apply. And is it a data point or not that the percentages of population of various religions in India in 1951 are diametrically different today than they were then, and who has reduced and who has increased as a percentage is not me, it is very visible public data you can see. So is that a matter of concern which somebody should address or not? We have seen other countries where this asymmetry has led to problems. So if we can solve certain problems, we should try to attempt to do it. The other aspect is, do you need to focus on having a younger working population? What is the pension burden of India? What is the medical burden of India? How many people are going out of job? That all policy will not be decided on TV debate. That's an opinion which starts a policy debate, and anything which starts a policy debate, an example of Elon Musk or anybody else, because there are multiple views. Now you could quote Bill Gates, he has a very different view. So it's an international debate and it's also a national debate on policy. Problem is there are certain political parties who will fearmonger and try to secure their votes just the way they did in CA, which affected no Indian Muslim citizen but became a violent protest in Shaheen Bagh. So do not fearmonger. Be on policy and you can have multiple views. And let's discuss that and we will decide a view as per the time and maybe the government implement it. Stop being scared of views and opinions and stop fear-mongering.
You're fear-mongering. Selim Dhanidharan, that's the allegation coming in from Ishmael.
No, I'm not fear-mongering. In fact, if you had understood what I was trying to say, I said my leader's observation at best was neutral on this matter. He only said do not penalize us for following the 1970s policy. And we live in a democratic country. It is not that we can impose something on it. State government as a policy in from 70s onwards, we said have one children, we advise, and then the people living in Tamil Nadu took it seriously for the betterment of the country. That's the point. But now we are being penalized for it. Let that be the case.
Okay.
But what worry is when influential people like Mohan Bhagwat will come and say without any research that have 3 children or 4 children, then it does not bode well for our country. I'll tell you, if you have 3 children, right? What will happen, within 20 years, the country's population will become 250 crores to 300 crores. Right? Do we have that much capacity? The population of Delhi will nearly triple. Population of Bombay will triple. Even now, to go to, let's say, to travel 10 kilometers at 6 p.m. in Delhi, it takes about 1.5 hours. So then you can't reach destination.
Okay. Sharing of resources. You're coming back to the issue of sharing of resources. Ratan Sharda, that will put a huge burden if this is actually implemented. We will have massive, population in our cities. Our infrastructure as it is creaky in many parts. And that's a very, very valid concern. But also want you to respond to the point that this is a concern that has been expressed by at least 2 chief ministers of Andhra and Tamil Nadu in the past. The fact that the demography has, drastically changed as far as the southern states which were told for decades to control population, they were successful, and their complaint is that now we are being penalized when aspects such as, delimitation, etc. come up into place.
See, Mohan, when this point was discussed, when you talked of population planning, the same people said, why are you stopping Muslims from more children? We will have more children. Population is anyway going down, so why are you worrying? Now, today, when he says that if you have a certain TFR, a certain growth percentage of 2.36% even now, then Hindus should have at least 2.1%, cross 2.1%. Today, problem is that we have dim couple, that is double income, no kid. We have couples who want only 1 children, and these are educated, with well-heeled people, while the poor have the bigger families. Now, these same people have been fear-mongering that as the population of the growth of the south is slow, of the north is high, which is a fact, we will be overwhelmed by the new policies, whether for voting or whether for development. So from where does that fear come? The fear comes because there is disproportionate, wrongly balanced population growth. That is why Mohanji is talking about it. Now, now this issue is become a controversial because Mohanji has said it. If some population expert or a person has said that this is what is happening, you would have very happily waited on that. Isn't it a fact that when we talk of South Korea, when we talk of Japan, we talk of entire Europe nation where migrants are being called so they can at least have an economy which is workable. When you have senior population which is only taking pension, health care, and there is no junior or younger people in the population, that balance will come only when you have this particular.
Let me bring in Faizan on that point. 2 very important points that you made, sir. I want Faizan to come in on that. Faizan, there is an example of Europe, there's an example of Korea, there's an example of Japan, where there's a massive aging population. There are migrants that have come into various countries in the Europe as well, and that drastically changes the demography. Point number one. And point number two, I want to ask you a question, because you may slam Mohan Bhagwat right now, but when there are measures such as the UP government in 2021 bringing in a proposed draft bill on population control, that was also opposed by your party. So how can those stands be consistent, sir?
Madhav, first of all, let me answer Ishkaran. He said this is just an observation, it is not a fatwa. So, my dear friend, what Mr. Bhagwat is saying or doing, that is also fatwa, because fatwa is not binding. That is also an observation. So, it's just an Urdu Arabic word for an observation, fatwa. Fatwa is not binding. It is not something which you have to follow, which you people
fatwa
usually
is a decree.
think. So, it's an observation, Madhav. It is not binding. It depends on an individual unless it comes from a court of law. India is not an Islamic nation, so here fatwas are not binding. So that is not from the court. That has no legal standing. So I just wanted to clear this point. Yes, Madhav, as far as, we are constantly saying this is the concern of every individual,
Madhav,
every sensible person in this country as of now, that when there are not enough resources, and Mr. Mohan Bhagwat, whom a lot of people admire and listen to him, maybe they'll start following what he's saying. If there's a sudden population explosion in India, then how are you going to feed these people? Whatever population we have today.
What about the aging population in other countries that's being spoken about?
Muslims is allowed to decrease.
And what about your own party's opposition to the population control bill in UP? Please answer those two questions, Faizan.
Madhav, the aging population, for the aging the current situation is such, Madhav, that we have to stick to this. At least you have better resources and then ask for increasing the population. But at the end of it, it's always the intention that matters, Madhav. If the intention of Bharatiya Janata Party,
let's leave it there, because I think Faizan, you are repeating yourself. The point is, there are many questions and concerns. It's a drastically different stance, and it's a breakaway from whatever we knew as far as population explosion and population policies that we've had in the past. As far as our public discourse is concerned, are those concerns valid? That's something that we'll continue to debate perhaps over the next few days. Ishkaran Bhandari, Ratan Sharda, Salem Dharnidharan, Faizan Kidwai, I'd like to thank all of you. In fact, Ishkaran stays with us for debate number 2 as well.